Hi friends, I'm Jen and I hope all is well. I teach courses on management sciences and I enjoy a little bit of music. So in this channel, we could have a little bit of video lectures on operations research, data analysis, maybe a little bit on R programming, and also a couple of videos on tips to play the guitar, on digital audio workstations, and maybe a couple of music videos too. So in case you like this kind of content and it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also to ring the bell notification, so every time I put up a video you would be getting a notification so you can have a look at it. Hi friends, this is a quick video on a few tips on how to undertake postgraduate project work. First, we look at the purpose of doing a project work at the postgraduate level. The main purpose is to apply the theoretical concepts that we have learned in the classroom to apply to real-time problem solving. This real-time problem solving could be a problem relating to an organization which they would like to resolve, or it could be a problem that's simply relating to continuous improvement. There is no problem per se, but they would like to improve the process a lot better. Now, either ways, we would like to solve this problem, not by guesswork, not by trial and error, but by established and robust methods that have been accepted based upon a good research paper published in a reputed journal. So when we look for methodologies to solve, it's always good to go back to a good journal paper. There is always this aspect of a problem that is existing in real time in the market, something like we know online purchases have been on the rise post-COVID era, and online purchase means a lot of adaptability to either mobile purchase applications or PC based purchase applications, and people would always find it difficult whenever there is a change happening. There is a lot of difference buying groceries online and buying groceries going to a shop. So this adaptability dimension is something if we would like to measure to see if there is a change in the behavioral shift, but that's a problem which the organization, especially marketers, would like to look at, and they would like us to give a good, robust solution, a reliable, repeatable solution. Now, all of these could be done, and this is the purpose of doing a project work wherein we try to apply our theoretical knowledge and concepts that we learned in class to real-time problem situations and give good solutions and suggestions that are repeatable, reliable to marketers and to the organizations. The methods that we would use are not, as I mentioned, random and trial methods, but the methods that have been established and accepted in reputed journals and in good papers that have been published in reputed journals. For example, this case of online purchase of groceries that we were talking of. One of the models that would help to measure a behavioral shift or behavioral intention is known as the UTAUT, the Unified Theory on Acceptance and Use of Technology. As I mentioned, this is one of the models. This is not necessarily the only model. Now, in the UTAUT model, the outcome variable is the behavioral intention, which would be the intention to make an online purchase of groceries, and the independent variables that may influence this behavioral intention according to the UTAUT model are the perceived usefulness, the ease of use, the facilitating conditions, and the social influence. Now, these four variables, perceived usefulness is relating to the application itself or the front end that the user might be making use of to place an order, and how easy is the application to use, that would be relating to ease of use. Facilitating condition may relate to the infrastructure that is available, the mobile phones or the PCs and the laptops that are available, the network connectivity and so on. And the social influence is how many people in the family and friend circles are using the online methods and how much have they influenced in making us choose or accept this method. Now, for each of these variables, there would be statements that have been used to measure each of these variables, and those statements are the ones that will help us to form the questionnaire. Let us remember these statements have been validated and therefore are established statements to measure these variables. We make common mistakes of writing questions on our own or statements of our own, which are not the right ways to frame a questionnaire. So to frame a questionnaire, we need to again go back to standard journal papers, and the variables and the statements that have been validated are the ones that will help us to establish and search for relevant variables and models. So that's about identification of variables to solve our question. The next thing would be relating to the sampling. The sample should be truly representative of the population that we are trying to look at. Are we looking at an urban population, or are we looking at a suburban population or a rural population? We should pick a sample from either of these choices depending upon the study, whether it's done in the urban, suburban or the rural areas. The next aspect is always there is a common confusion that when I pick a respondent at random, whoever comes to me first, that's a respondent at random, and therefore I call it a simple random sampling, which is sadly not so. Only when we use random numbers in a systematic way to identify respondents, I repeat, the use of random numbers in a systematic way to identify respondents, that makes it a random sampling. If I just go to a mall and I keep having people coming and I start collecting responses from such people, that is not random sampling, that is more of convenience sampling. However, at the postgraduate project level, convenience sampling should suffice, provided we are able to establish the fact that convenience sampling should be good enough with very little response bias, and simple random sampling and its complex methods are really not necessary for this particular study. If we are able to establish that fact, then we could always justify the use of convenience sampling. Of course, the probability sampling methods and the non-probability sampling methods are the established ones, and we have always known that the probability sampling methods are expected to be superior. So the simple random sampling would obviously come under the probability random sampling, and the convenience sampling would come under the category of non-probability sampling. However, at the postgraduate project level, we should be able to establish convenience sampling's adequacy, provided we are able to establish that the response bias would be minimized or is not so existent. So that's about the sampling and the collection of data. And the third part is the application of the appropriate tools. We need to know which tool to be applied to the nature of the variables and the way the variables interact with each other, and of course the research question and the corresponding hypothesis. Of course, in my following videos I would be talking a little bit on sampling. I would be talking a little bit on how to move to the hypothesis framing from the research question that might arise, and so on. So keep track of the following videos also. And once we have the appropriate tools, we do the analysis and we get some results out of the analysis wherein we might accept or reject the hypothesis, after which we go in for the application. More often than not, we find that when we make the suggestions or we make conclusions, a lot of assumptions creep in, which should never be the case. The natural interpretations that flow out of our results should be the ones that should be contributing to our suggestions or application or interpretations that we might make to the organization. So we always need to remember that the suggestions and the conclusions should naturally flow out of our results and should not be random thoughts based upon our experience or suggestions. So remember, my friends, let's do a systematic project work, and all the very best.